dear professors, mentors, agents, arbitrators, judges, delegates, dear guests. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you all to the 2020 MUNLawS conference. As you have undoubtedly noted, this year the conference is a bit different. Well, the world is different. 2020 has not been the easiest of years. Frankly, most of us are probably quite happy that it's almost over. The COVID-19 pandemic has turned things upside down. And even though it has been going on for the better part of the year, the new normal just doesn't feel quite normal yet. It has shown us how fragile our system actually is. On the other hand, it has also shown us how connected we all are. Not just within our cities, within our countries, or even within our continents. The world is connected. We are all interdependent. We are all ultimately one single community. Sadly, it seems that only events such as global wars, devastating effects of climate change, and as now a global pandemic give us a heightened sense of that fact. Despite the obviousness of how connected we all are, many places across the globe have seen the divisions at the national, regional, and international levels rise. Elections in a major superpower are a very recent and obvious example of that. It is therefore so heartwarming and inspiring to see you, dear delegates, taking the time and making the effort to participate at an event such as this. It shows us that there is still a pool of motivated, engaged, and interested students who, despite the bleak circumstances around them, see the importance of debate, the importance of communication, and the need to tackle problems that the world faces as a community together. For those reasons, it was more important than ever to organize this event. It is so important because we need to allow, or we cannot allow, that you, the engaged, the interested, would not have the option to debate, to interact with one another, and to discuss some of the most topical issues the world is faced with today. Like I said, the conference is a bit different this year. There will be no coffee breaks and no in-person social events. However, I am sure that there will still be some amazing opening speeches, all kinds of different motions raised by delegates, some fiery debates, and at the end, a final resolution that even a trained eye will have difficulty separating from the real thing. There will also be a Zoom break room that will be open to all, which you can join during the breaks and after the sessions to meet and talk. Please do make use of that option. I'm truly proud to be able to officially declare that the MUNLawS 2020 conference is now open. It is a conference that came to you in times when you are not able to attend it in person. I sincerely hope you will have a wonderful time, and I also hope that I will be able to see you all before we virtually meet again on the closing ceremony on Sunday.
Dear participants, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to the 8th edition of the MUNLawS conference organized by the University of Ljubljana Faculty of Law. We have decided to move on with preparations for the online version of this year's conference, despite all the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic that we are unfortunately facing also in Slovenia. Nevertheless, we deem it important to continue providing opportunities for students as well as young professionals to acquire new knowledge and skills in presenting the arguments of states or parties in various proceedings before various international courts and tribunals. This is also the first time that we will be simulating the arbitration before the Court for Conciliation and Arbitration within the Organization for Security and Cooperation for Europe, with the kind support and assistance of the Courts Bureau. We are very much looking forward to all the debates in all the committees, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope that soon there will be opportunities for the participants of this year's conference to also meet in person.
Fellow delegates, distinguished guests, it is my honor to address you today as the UN Youth Delegate of Slovenia. My name is Lucija Tacer, and I represent the Slovenian youth at the United Nations this year. The UN Youth Delegate program was established in order to promote youth participation at all levels of governance. In this capacity, I represent Slovenian youth at international conferences, one of them being the third committee of the UN General Assembly, where each UN Youth Delegate is given an opportunity to expose the priorities of the youth in their country. Additionally, I also work at home, trying to bring the values and the issues of the United Nations closer to Slovenian youth. One of these opportunities is also the Model UN Conference that you are attending today. It is my great honor to be part of it. If you're interested in international relations, youth participation, and this program, I encourage you to find me online, on social media, and my website. But this weekend, I wish you a lot of interesting debates and a fun time. Thank you.
The Security Council is one of the most important committees within the United Nations. Its primary responsibility, determined by the UN Charter, is maintenance of international peace and security. The Council can gather at any time peace and security are threatened, with its main goal being peaceful resolution of any ongoing or potential conflict. The importance of the committee is demonstrated by the fact that its decisions, made by only 15 member states, are binding for all of them, contrary to the decisions of the General Assembly. Another indicator of its significance is the special authorization to utilize the military force, send peacekeeping missions into the affected area, and other actions unique to the Security Council and its mission in the world.
This year's simulation of Security Council is titled The Situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, the dispute between Armenia and Azerbaijan, which is one of the longest ongoing territorial disputes. Conflict originates in Azerbaijani region Nagorno-Karabakh with Armenian majority. The region is also referred to as the Republic of Artsakh, which declared its independence, but it's not officially recognized state. History of dispute dates back to late 18th century, since it has escalated to war, which officially broke out after dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, when both parties declared independence. Although attempts were made to reconcile the nations, none was successful. 4 resolutions issued by Security Council have never been fully implemented, and in September 2020, tensions rose once again and clashes continued even after both parties agreed to ceasefire. Hence, immediate attention of the Security Council is undoubtedly required in order to resolve the conflict and ensure its main purpose, maintaining of international peace and security.
The Human Rights Council presents one of the key bodies within the United Nations, as it remains the only human rights organization that is responsible for the promotion and protection of all human rights around the globe. The Council was created in March 2006 and consists of 47 member states, which are all elected by the General Assembly. Since its establishment, the Human Rights Council has focused on investigating allegations of breaches of human rights in the United Nations member states. Hence, it makes sure that important thematic human rights issues such as freedom of association and assembly, freedom of expression, freedom of belief and religion, women's rights, LGBT rights, and the rights of racial and ethnic minorities are ensured among member states. So in times of crisis, the Council is the space for international community to come together, to debate, and to speak out.
In the Human Rights Council, we will discuss the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact on human rights. Topics of discussion will be numerous, from freedom of movement, right to social security, and right to access to healthcare, as well as right to equal treatment and non-discrimination, ranging from human rights of older people, racial disparities, income inequalities, and gender impacts. Further, we will look at impacts on freedom of speech and press, the rule of law, and the right to privacy. How can we recover from this global crisis while protecting human rights, but also building back better to increase the human rights compliance among the member states? I'm excited to hear your fruitful debate.
The MUNLawS 2020 conference will host the first ever student simulation of the Court of Conciliation and Arbitration within the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. The Court of Conciliation and Arbitration is based in Geneva and provides a mechanism for the peaceful settlement of disputes between states. It was established in 1995 with the Convention on Conciliation and Arbitration within the OSCE, which has 34 states parties. The Arbitral Tribunal at the MUNLawS 2020 conference will hear a case concerning the underwater natural resources in the Great Sea between two fictional states, Aesthetica as the applicant and Rignalia as the respondent. After a study found the largest natural oil reserves in the world in the disputed part of the Great Sea, Aesthetica's state-owned mining and natural resources extraction company began extracting that oil via offshore oil platforms. This caused a great controversy, resulting in Rignalia intervening in the disputed area with its navy vessels. At about the same time, Aesthetica's coastal towns began reporting of marine environmental harm, and Aesthetica accused Rignalia of being internationally responsible for causing that environmental harm. Not being able to settle their disputes by negotiation, the two states decided to utilize the mechanism provided for by the Convention on Conciliation and Arbitration within the OSCE and submitted their dispute by agreement to arbitration. Agents for both states will have to present their best legal arguments, while the arbitrators will have to write and issue an award that will finally settle the dispute concerning the underwater natural resources in the Great Sea.
The International Court of Justice is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations. It was established in June 1945 by the Charter of the United Nations, began work in April 1946, and is seated in The Hague. The court's role is to settle, in accordance with international law, legal disputes submitted to it by states and to give advisory opinions on legal questions. The court is composed of 15 judges who are elected for terms of office of 9 years by the United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council. Its official languages are English and French.